What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the motive of the Ghostface killer in Scream 2022. This will contain spoilers, so for the love of God, if you haven't seen the movie, please turn away now, because I am going to be spoiling the ending and why this movie, I guess, happened in a way. Okay, so 3, 2, 1. Now, I did try to do a trick in the beginning there. I said killer, maybe not to give it away. Obviously, the killers are Amber and Richie, and the motive is because they are stab-obsessed fans, okay? So, obviously, this entire movie plays on toxic fandoms, right? We kind of sensed that, or at least I had hoped they wouldn't do that leading into the movie. We knew that they were going to poke fun at Rian Johnson with Knives Out and Star Wars and frame it in the frame of toxic fandoms. And I had said going in, please, for the love of God, don't make this like the central point of the movie. Don't ignore the fact that just because somebody doesn't like a movie and a franchise doesn't immediately make them toxic. That's what I was very scared of going into the movie, okay? Now, having seen the movie, having been a fan of Scream, having watched the other ones, okay, I think people are kind of freaking out. Now, everybody is very much entitled to their own opinion, and I'm not telling you, you're not allowed to think for yourself. Please, for the love of God, do that. I've seen some takes from channels that obviously focus on like anti-wokeism in Hollywood, and I do think there is a general problem with, if you do something, if you're race swapping, if you're gender swapping, simply to do it, you're trying to sell the whole movie on, oh, look, now they're this, now they're that, you need to like it. I do think there is merit there, okay? I also think, though, that sometimes it can get a little out of hand, and that's putting it lightly, and I think this movie is maybe an example of it. I will be the first one to tell you, and you can go back and watch videos of mine leading into this movie. I was scared about the toxic fandom, okay? I'm not on the side of it being done stupidly, all right? But I'm here to tell you that I think in the scope of Scream and what Scream movies are and what this movie was trying to do, I really don't have a problem with it. Now, I said some of this in my review that I did of the movie. I'm going to go more in detail here. I think to put it bluntly, or to boil it all the way down, there's two aspects to it, okay? And I think you have to understand both. The first is the Mindy monologue, okay, at their house, at the Meek's house, when she's talking about these films and how they do it right, how they do it wrong, the fact that she doesn't even like Stab 8. Don't forget that fact, by the way. And the idea is there are these fans out there that, will freak out if the movies change anything. Now, obviously, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but I don't think she's talking about every single fan on the face of the earth. I guess basically my point is, I think they did do enough, in my personal opinion, I think they did do enough to distinguish that not everybody who hates a film or disagrees with what was done is immediately a serial killer, okay? Now, I know that's kind of what people are running with on the internet right now, where it's like, oh, what Scream is telling you, and the media is a big proponent of this, right? When you have articles saying this movie is sticking it to toxic fandom, shut up, okay? Just shut. Like, who even goes off of these stupid Forbes and Entertainment Weekly? Who cares about these people anyway, right? So they are not helping the situation by framing it that way, because then you're having people talk about the film without actually having seen it. And also, I pray that they've seen the other Scream movies, because you know that they kind of take things in outrageous ways as well, right? Billy was a psychopath. That's literally his reasoning for. Now, there's other smaller story reasons, but the main reason is he's literally a psychopath. Stu's reason is that it was literally just peer pressure. He's easily swayed to do things. Okay, so think about the motives of the other killers before you get too harsh on the motives of this. That's all I'm asking, and I'm saying that for some of the channels that have gone after it, some of the outlets that are, I guess, really putting that in everybody's faces, saying, "Oh, look, haha, they're making fun of toxic fandoms." They are. So I will say this. Also, if you're a person, if you're just a normal fan, right, and you don't like the motive, you don't like the ending, I think that's fine. I think you have every right to not like it. I don't love it. In fact, I said that in the review. I don't hate the motive. I don't love the motive. I do think it's far-fetched. I don't necessarily love the idea that maybe they're hinting that, fans that don't like, so say like a Star Wars Last Jedi, they get so crazy in that they they take it to the next step and they become serial killers. But I think, again, you have to look at it in the scope of what Scream is, right? It's these situations. It's looking at the genre. It's looking at the industry, and it's doing some wacky, over the top things with it. I mean, these people, Richie and Amber, are not real life people. Do you know what I mean? So again, the motive, right, is that they love Stab 1. Stab 1 is the only pure good Stab movie. Richie says that. He says there hasn't been a movie done as well as Stab, like since Stab 1. He said, some others were okay, but that was the best one, and nobody's replicated it. So the idea was that they were going to fix the franchise. They were going to course correct, and they were going to kind of bring things back where it started, but also do some, kind of newer things, and to give basically Hollywood to make more movies. Remember, to make Stab movies and even books and all that stuff, to give them source material to do it. Okay, I really think that's fine. Like, I feel like that is a good reason in the Scream universe of why, like, Jill, her motive was fame. She wanted to be famous like Sydney, but kind of in a slightly different way. Like, that was literally her reason. Mrs. Loomis was maybe the most like direct, right? Just like a simple revenge story. Mickey, she literally found Mickey on a serial killer website. Okay, that's the reasoning Mickey was in the second movie in the first place, is because she found him on a serial killer website. So again, I get it. I get it. If you don't like the motive, that's totally cool. I want everybody to kind of understand the entire frame of it. I do think it makes sense because all it really is two fans who are nuts. Let's not forget that, right? Amber was the Stu of this movie. She lived in Stu's house. She went nuts at the end, right? You could tell. She motioned to Sydney like stab, stab, stab. Like she's literally insane. And she reverts back and forth, which is not exactly like what Stu did, but it's close enough where she's able to, or I guess really in that way it would be almost more like Billy, where she's able to kind of go back and forth. When they corner her, she immediately goes back in a more defensive position and says, I was radicalized and stuff. Now, that is, you could argue, right, that's more of an attack on fandoms too, right? Because you're saying, okay, so say somebody who didn't like The Last Jedi, they go online, they find these groups, so say these YouTubers or these Reddit users, right, that are also against the movie, and they get radicalized. You could say that's an attack, but also she's lying. Like you could tell, like she's literally just saying anything to distract Gail and Sydney. That's literally the entire goal. So, like, yes, it is a jab, and yes, maybe they think that it sometimes happens, but again, everything's taken over the top in Scream. They're not saying that it actually happens like day to day. They're taking something that could happen, and look, by the way, there is toxicity in fandoms. Like I've never said there isn't. I hope nobody has ever said that there isn't. There absolutely are people that take it too far. I think the thing that I was worried about, and that I am worried about in general in the industry, is that oftentimes the media and even Hollywood or the industry, they take those small groups of people that will do threats, that'll do, other like bad stuff, and they'll make it so that everybody is like them. So if you just don't like the movie, you're as bad as the person attacking, like literally sending threats to the director. You're just as bad. That has happened. That's become kind of a narrative, and I hate that. And I don't really get the sense that you know what I mean? I don't think they were going after people like me who didn't like The Last Jedi, because they even poked fun at it, where they're like, you can ruin legacy character. That's what Mindy's whole speech was about, right? Basically how to do it right and how Hollywood has done it wrong. So they are actually going after Hollywood as well, where it's like there's been some horrible attempts to bring back franchises. You know what I mean? And again, you have to remember, that's what Scream is. It's a movie franchise that looks at itself as very meta and looks at the industry at large. So I buy the speech from Mindy. I buy that whole scene. I really found nothing wrong with it at all. I actually really liked it. And then, the ending of Richie and Amber kind of explaining it out loud, I get it, because it's just two people that were and you also have to remember the rest of the stuff too. Like, Amber says she was an obsessed person, and she moved into the house. Her parents moved into Stu's house, and she got into it, and then they found Richie, or she found Richie on like the Stab subreddit, basically online. They got together and they devised this plan. So you have to have people that are literally nuts in the first place to make this work, in this universe. It's not just because of that. And obviously Amber had a connection to Tara, which then obviously would be the connection to Sam. Richie went out of his way to get to Sam, right? So there were other things there too. So I would say in the grand scheme of things, motive-wise, I think compared to the other Scream movies, it definitely felt the most timely, but not, I wouldn't say the best, and I wouldn't say like ahead of its time. Scream 4 was, in my opinion, the most ahead of its time by a mile. Like, Scream 4 was basically doing stuff that movies are doing right now. So it was probably at least 5 to 7 years ahead of its time, the idea of Scream 4, and not necessarily the motive, but what the movie was trying to do with, like, passing the baton and stuff. That movie was very ahead of its time. The rest of them, Scream 1, I guess the twist was like literally anybody could be it, and it doesn't take much and stuff. So, I think they've all been pretty okay motives throughout the entire thing. I think they make sense in the scope of Scream. I don't think this one is massively better than any of them. I don't think it's massively worse. I'd put it, and I said this in the review, I'd kind of put it right in the middle. I mean, I've never liked Mickey's reasoning. She just found him on a website of murderers. I think that's kind of dumb. Charlie, again, just kind of went along with Jill, which was very reminiscent of Stu. Just going with, I believe that because that was the original and it just felt the most like authentic, you know what I mean? Especially with Stu's character. So that was completely fine to me. Mrs. Loomis made sense in the revenge story. Roman, I think that made probably, I don't really know if he went about it the right way, but I think the idea of him wanting, to enter into Sydney's life and stuff. And even there's been confliction of what Roman's ultimate goal even was. And then 4, Jill wanting to become famous. I thought that seemed right for the time that it was trying to be a part of. So, yeah, I think I'm okay with this, which is shocking to me because I was very against the idea of them just labeling. I guess it really boils down to I don't think they are labeling everybody as this. I think they're looking at pockets of the internet, pockets of fandoms, making that their entire movie, which makes sense, and then like ratcheting it up several notches in exactly how Scream would do it. You know what I mean? Nobody's saying somebody like me or you, if you dislike a film, is going to go on a rampage like Richie and Amber. They were already like off balance. You know what I mean? They were already insane. I think what really it is the media and now some people kind of taking it. Maybe, I mean, again, I'm not telling you how to take it. You take it however you want. But I do think the media kind of shoving in people's faces like, oh, this movie is an FU to toxic YouTubers. It's like, all right, well, now you're starting a fight, and you're also going to upset those YouTubers, and so now they're going to say, oh, Scream is all about this, and the series sucks, or this movie sucks, and now you literally created it. So I really think the media has a lot to do with kind of this getting blown out of proportion as well. Those are just my thoughts. I want to definitely know what you guys think. I know I saw in the comments some people definitely did not like the ending or the motive, and that is completely cool. I completely respect that. I'm not saying you have to like it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel. I'll be covering Scream a ton more as the days go on, talking about all aspects of the film and the next film. And so I hope to see you guys on the next video.